In the land of ancient Greece, under misty dawn skies and the gentle embrace of early spring, a story begins with the birth of a child destined for both hardship and greatness. King Iasus of Arcadia, in the tradition of many before him, longed for a son, an heir who could lead his kingdom and carry his name through the tales of time. Yet, on the day his hopes lay upon, a daughter was born instead, a tiny, spirited girl named Atalanta. Dissatisfaction clouded the king's heart, for he could not see the potential in the life he had sired. Bound by the rigid cultural norms and expectations of fatherhood, Iasus took the drastic step of abandoning the newborn on a mountainside, leaving her to the fickle mercy of fate. The given land offered both peril and protection. The cool, mist-laden air cradled her cries, echoing across the wilderness. An unlikely savior soon descended from the forested hills, a she-bear drawn by the cries that mingled with the breezes. These woods had been her domain, where the wild and untamed thrived amidst nature's bond. The she-bear, her maternal instincts spurred by the sight before her, took the infant under her care. She nursed Atalanta with a gentleness contrasting her feral nature, warming her with the heat from her own body. Here, in this most surprising turn, the infant found sustenance, warmth, and a fierce guardian. As the seasons turned, hunters exploring the heavy forested slopes came upon the unusual sight, a girl neither beast nor fully accustomed human, darting like a shadow amidst the trees. Captivated by her agility and intrigue surrounding her survival, they decided to take her in. Curiosity and marvel intertwined, for she had inherited something profound from her woodland upbringing. An unmatched swiftness, a strength of limb unmatched, echoing the robust resilience of the bear. She grew rapidly under their guidance, mastering their skills, while retaining an unyielding independence cherished since her earliest breaths. With each passing year, her skills flourished. She became known not only for her swift feet, but also for her prowess as a huntress. Stories of her feats spread across the villages and into the hearts of those who heard of the girl raised by a bear. She hunted with a grace and accuracy that turned the wild's favor upon her. To these feats, Atalanta added a personal vow, one that she swore before Artemis, goddess of the hunt and chastity. In a solemn moment, she pledged to remain chaste and free, placing her devotion to the goddess above the inclinations of worldly bonds. This vow was a reflection and reinforcement of her strong-willed nature, molded both by necessity and choice. As Atalanta matured, so did her legend, a swift huntress, independent of the expectations that bound others around her. The tales whispered in fireside gatherings painted her as a figure almost mythical in presence, yet rooted in the very real resilience nurtured by the wilderness and humanity alike. Her presence was a melding of the two worlds she belonged to, poised as both protectorate and predator. Through her pledge to Artemis, she embraced freedom, unshackled by the constraints placed on her at birth, living instead by her own measured stride. In the glades of Arcadia, where the sun filtered through leafy canopies and cast dappled shadows across the forest's floor, the story of Atalanta took root and blossomed. This origin, fraught with chance and choice, became the first step in her pursuit of living on her own terms. It set the stage for the adventures to come, where her skills, shaped by nature and nurture, would draw the gaze of many, both mortal and divine, those seeking her favor or testing her resolve. In this tranquil beginning, a tale of resilience and character unfolded, with Atalanta at its heart. It was a gentle awakening to a journey that would test her resolve and shape her destiny, offering whispers of anticipation for what lay ahead. In the tranquil yet lively lands of Calydon, an unspoken tension began to arise. King Oeneus had inadvertently slighted the revered goddess Artemis by failing to include her in his sacrifices. Angered by this neglect, Artemis unleashed a formidable Calydonian boar upon the lush forests of Calydon. The beast, terrifying and massive, ravaged the lands, destroying crops and endangering lives, leaving a trail of fear in its wake. Faced with the calamity that his actions had wrought, King Oeneus summoned the bravest heroes of Greece to answer the challenge. Among them was Meleager, a noble and valiant figure known throughout the land for his courage and leadership. He took it upon himself to organize a hunt to put an end to the boar's terror once and for all. Men of great stature and repute gathered under Meleager's leadership, each eager to prove their prowess and bring peace back to the suffering communities. Atalanta, whose name had spread far and wide for her remarkable speed and skill, heard of the hunt and decided to join it. Her reputation as an unmatched huntress reached the ears of the assembled heroes, and her arrival was met with surprise and skepticism. The men, accustomed to their own notions of bravery and heroism, debated whether she, a woman, should be allowed to partake in such a prestigious contest. Despite the whispers, Atalanta stood firm, her presence asserting her independence and breaking the boundaries that sought to constrain her. Meleager, unlike others, was captivated by Atalanta's prowess and reputation. He admired her greatly, seeing in her not only a valuable ally, but a person worthy of respect and acknowledgement. His acceptance of her participation inspired a more welcoming attitude among some, yet others still harbored doubts. Meleager's admiration was rooted not only in her skill but in her determination, which reminded him of the pure essence of true heroism. As the day waned, the group of heroes set up camp on the edge of the forest, where the thick canopy of trees cast shadows against the softly fading light. Many gathered around the campfires, deep in discussion and preparation for the imminent encounter with the formidable beast. Throughout the evening, differing opinions arose within their ranks about Atalanta's presence. Some doubted her capabilities, while others began to recognize the unique balance she brought to their venture. Amidst the din of the camp, Atalanta remained poised and unperturbed. Her steady and calm composure reassured a number of skeptics, demonstrating that she was neither fearful nor fragile. Her confidence became a quiet strength that wrapped around those who were uncertain, subtly convincing them that her presence was as inevitable as the dawn that would soon break. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, the forest came alive with the sounds of anticipation. The group rose with the sun, gathering their weapons and their courage for the task ahead. Atalanta led the way, her footsteps deft and sure, moving with a grace that seemed to mimic the flowing currents of time itself. The forest embraced her as a familiar realm, a kingdom where she alone reigned with unmatched speed and skill. Deep within the wooded depths, the hunt began. The hunters, bound by their shared ambition and determination, followed Atalanta as they ventured through the labyrinth of trees. Their breath mingled with the crisp morning air, each step taking them closer to the heart of the challenge that lay before them. The hunters' movements synchronized with nature's rhythms, forging ahead under the watchful eye of Artemis, unseen but palpably present. In this sacred and silent space, where echoes of past adventures lingered, Atalanta's resolve and abilities would be tested. The challenge of the hunt weighed on her shoulders not as a burden but as a key to her destiny, unlocking further adventures and tales yet untold. The story of Atalanta, the swift and fearless huntress, unfolded with each stride she took, one step closer to triumphs that would echo through the annals of time. The dense forest of Calydon was alive with anticipation as the hunt began. The air hummed with energy as sunlight pierced through the canopy, casting dappled patterns on the forest floor. Among the gathered heroes, the sound of shields and swords being readied blended with the calls of birds. At the heart of this vibrant scene was Atalanta, the huntress known for her incredible speed and unparalleled skill. Her eyes were focused, her stance poised, ready to accept the challenge laid upon the hunters by the furious goddess Artemis. Suddenly, the underbrush rustled violently, and with a mighty roar, the monstrous boar charged forward. The sheer size and speed of the beast were terrifying, and many hunters were caught off guard, scrambling out of its path. The ground shook beneath its powerful stride, and the breath of the hunters held momentarily caught in a shared mix of fear and awe. Yet, amidst this chaos, Atalanta remained composed. Her calm, calculated gaze followed the boar's fierce movements as she methodically assessed her surroundings, considering her next steps. Atalanta, renowned for her swiftness, wasted no time. She used her agility to dart through the forest, positioning herself where she could have the clearest shot. Her movements were precise and efficient, her focus unwavering. As the boar thundered closer, she readied her bow and took aim, her breathing steady and controlled. The forest seemed to hold its breath along with her as she released the arrow, its flight swift and true. With remarkable accuracy, the arrow found its mark, striking the monstrous creature. The arrow's impact staggered the boar, its momentum faltering as it roared in pain. The wound was not fatal, but it served to break the creature's relentless attack, giving the scattered hunters a chance to regroup. Among those was Meleager, the noble leader of the hunt. Inspired by Atalanta's courage and skill, Meleager summoned his strength and charged toward the creature with renewed determination. With a swift and decisive thrust, he delivered the final fatal blow to the boar, bringing the beast's destructive course to an end. As the echoes of the triumphant roars and cheers faded from the forest, a sense of serene accomplishment settled over the group. The fallen boar lay as a testament to their bravery and unity, but it was Atalanta who emerged as the undeniable hero of the day. Her composed demeanor and strategic thinking had turned the tide of the battle, earning her respect and admiration from her fellow hunters. Among them, Meleager was the first to step forward, acknowledging Atalanta's pivotal role in their victory. In a gesture of great honor, Meleager offered Atalanta the trophy of their hard-won battle, the boar's head. This act was not only a recognition of her skill and bravery, but also an acknowledgement of her rightful place among the esteemed heroes of Greece. Atalanta accepted this honor with grace, her spirit unshaken and her resolve to remain free and independent stronger than ever. As the hunters began their journey back to Calydon, with the boar's head carried high, the story of Atalanta's triumph in the forests spread like wildfire. Her name was spoken with admiration and reverence, becoming a tale of valor to inspire others. For Atalanta, this was more than a victory over a beast. It was a step closer toward acceptance on her own terms, a path she was resolved to continue walking. The daylight waned as the hunting party returned, but the glow of Atalanta's achievement lit the path ahead, promising new challenges and new adventures. Their journey was far from over, for as Atalanta proved herself against the mighty boar, she also attracted the attention of admirers and those curious about her mettle. What lay ahead was uncertain, but with every step, Atalanta was carving a legacy in the storied lands of Greece. The tale of Atalanta's valor in the Calydonian Boar hunt spread quickly, reaching the ears of King Iasus, her estranged father. Long had Iasus lamented the birth of a daughter, one whom he had left to die on a mountainside, expecting a son who would bring pride and strengthen his legacy. Yet, the daughter he had forsaken was the very huntress whose accomplishments were now echoing through the realm. This news kindled within him a new thought, a vision of opportunity through the daughter he had cast aside. Iasus, stirred by the whispering winds of opportunity, began to reconsider the child he had once deemed unworthy. Her increasing fame could indeed be the bridge to bolster his standing. As an astute king, he pondered how her newfound renown could be harnessed, used to mend the rift her gender had caused within his world of expectations. His court, aglow with the dim flicker of torches, became a tableau where his ambitions took shape. Reluctantly, Atalanta returned to her father's court, her heart heavy with apprehension. The very walls seemed to echo with memories of a life she had left behind, and her spirit, unbound by wilderness, felt constricted within the stone confines of the king's desires. Yet, there she stood, a huntress who moved like the wind, unseen but felt, known not by her father's acknowledgement, but by her own unmatched prowess. Iasus, steeped in the traditions of kingship and lineage, saw in Atalanta a chance to bring her into the fold of societal norms through marriage. Suitors were summoned, men of noble birth and high status, who saw in Atalanta not only a woman of beauty but also the promise of glory by her side. Their gazes, measuring and assessing, filled the air like a heavy fog, seeking to ensnare a spirit that longed only for freedom. Atalanta, faced with her father's unwavering expectations, felt the weight of a reality she had no desire to shoulder. The idea of a life bound to a man, dictated by conventions she neither chose nor agreed with, clashed with every thread of her being. Her independence was not a facade but the very essence of her existence, and the thought of surrendering it to meet her father's desires was a burden she could not accept. Resolute, Atalanta proposed a challenge, one reflecting her own strengths and autonomy. She would race any suitor who sought her hand, a contest they could not win, for her feet were like the wind itself. The court, a place of echoes under dim firelight, grew hushed at her defiance, the challenge a mirror to her internal struggle, her fierce desire to maintain her freedom against the tide of her father's wishes. The suitors, unaware of the depth of her determination, accepted her challenge, each one confident in his prowess. They dismissed her skills, blinded by arrogance and tradition, underestimating the huntress raised by the wilds. The events that followed were inevitable, an unfurling of fate already woven by Atalanta's own hands. As she raced them, her feet scarcely touching the ground, their hope ebbed and vanished like mist under the morning sun. King Iasus watched as his plans unraveled with each failed suitor, his authority challenged by the quiet strength of his daughter. Atalanta's refusal to conform, to be swayed by tradition and the allure of power through marriage, rang loud in the court, a testament to her mother's goddess, Artemis, and to her own vows. It was the strength of nature itself, pushing back against the encroaching snares of what was expected and predetermined. The conflict ignited by Atalanta's stance breathed tension into the halls of her father's house. Her unwavering independence, a burning flame, illuminated the path for others who dared question the rigid expectations imposed by society. Yet this was also the beginning of a new chapter in her life, a life where her choices would echo against the constraints of familiarity and lead her toward further adventures, in which love and cunning would play their parts. Thus, Atalanta stood, her heart a wild blaze within the dimly lit court, surrounded by flickering torches that cast wavering shadows of suitors upon the walls. Though her father's expectations remained unmet, her own resolve was unwavering. In defying the plans laid out for her, she prepared to set forth on a path that would not only test her heart, but also her cunning. In the rolling fields of Greece, close to King Iasus's court, a flat race ground had been cleared. This was the site where Atalanta would challenge her suitors, each vying for her hand in marriage. Her father, King Iasus, had arranged for these men to come, hoping that one might succeed, and thereby secure her future and his legacy in the traditional way. Many suitors had gathered, drawn not only by Atalanta's beauty and the fame that now surrounded her after the boar hunt, but also by the challenge of proving themselves the swifter in a race against her. The terms of the challenge were clear and simple. Atalanta, known far and wide for her unmatched speed, had declared that she would only marry a man who could defeat her in a race. It was a task that seemed insurmountable to all who dared to try, yet they were eager to attempt it. As the bright sun hung high in the sky, casting crisp shadows across the race ground, the stakes were set. The outcome of this race would determine not just a marriage, but the direction of Atalanta's life. One by one, the suitors took their positions. The race began at Atalanta's signal, her stance poised and determined like a sculpted figure of Artemis herself. The crowd watched with bated breath as the suitors sprinted forward, feet pounding against the earth. Yet their efforts were in vain. Atalanta's swiftness was unparalleled. In every attempt, she pulled ahead effortlessly, her feet seeming to barely touch the ground as she surged forward to the finish line. As suitor after suitor fell behind, it became apparent that none could match her. The crowd murmured with awe and wonder at her prowess, while Atalanta herself remained inwardly conflicted. Her victory was a manifestation of her freedom, yet it cast her into isolation, unbound but alone. Just when hope seemed lost for the gathered suitors, Hippomenes stepped forward. Unlike the others, he did not appear daunted by the challenge before him. There was a determined glint in his eyes, suggesting he held a plan, something more than mere strength or speed. Hippomenes, clever and resourceful, had sought the assistance of the goddess Aphrodite, whose domain included love and cunning alike. She had given him 3 golden apples of divine origin, each radiating a brilliance that could not be rivaled by any earthly treasure. Understanding the stakes of this race, Hippomenes was calm yet resolved as he took his place at the start line next to Atalanta. The race began, and instincts honed over years of running guided Atalanta as she surged forward. Yet Hippomenes held his ground, running with all his might, a determined resolve in his every stride. As Atalanta began to outpace him, true to Aphrodite's advice, he let the first golden apple roll across the track. Atalanta, surprised by the glint of radiant gold, paused momentarily, her curiosity piqued by this unexpected turn. It was only a brief hesitation, lasting no more than a heartbeat, but it cost her precious time. Hippomenes, without hesitation, ran on, seizing the advantage this brief lull granted him. Yet again, as Atalanta closed the gap, he tossed the second apple, its allure once again slowing her swift pursuit. She could soon regain her pace, overtaking him with alarming ease, yet Hippomenes did not falter. As they neared the final stretch, the last golden apple, more dazzling than the previous ones, tumbled onto the path. Atalanta, mesmerized by such extraordinary beauty, slowed as she stooped to pick it up, the desire to hold this marvelous object momentarily outweighing her yearning for freedom. This final hesitation allowed Hippomenes to cross the finish line, victorious by the slimmest of margins. The crowd erupted in astonished exclamations. None had anticipated this outcome, least of all Atalanta, who stood at a momentary crossroads, clutching the golden apple in her hand. Her heart was conflicted, caught between the marvel of the unexpected and the veracity of her reality. Here was a man who had not outrun her through mere speed, but had outthought her by the cleverness akin to that of the gods themselves. As the realization settled over Atalanta, the event became more than a mere race. It was a revelation. Her cherished freedom was not to be marred by unwilling subjugation, but perhaps, just perhaps, shared in an intelligent partnership. The race had ended, but her story had not. As the murmurs of the crowd ebbed away, Atalanta understood that her life's journey might now be carved in a partnership crafted under the auspices of ingenuity and divine playfulness. Hippomenes stood at the starting line of the race ground, his heart pounding with anticipation and determination. He knew that defeating Atalanta in this foot race was not only a formidable challenge, but a clever endeavor steeped in divine assistance. With the goddess Aphrodite on his side, Hippomenes was armed with 3 extraordinary golden apples, each one more captivating than the last. As the race commenced under the bright noon sun, he sprinted forward, pushing every muscle to the limit to gain an initial lead. Meanwhile, Atalanta's lithe form sprang forth with her signature speed, her confidence unwavering. For every suitor she had raced before, none could match her swiftness, and she fully expected the same outcome with Hippomenes. Yet this time she could sense something different. Though he was mere yards ahead, she was closing the gap with ease. It was then that Hippomenes enacted his plan. With a deft motion, he cast the first golden apple across Atalanta's path. The apple glinted with an irresistible allure, its radiant beauty shimmering under the vivid blue sky. Atalanta's keen eyes caught sight of it, and something within her stirred, halting her forward momentum. It was as if the world briefly paused, her heart and feet followed suit. She bent to lift the lustrous fruit, its weight surreal in her hand, like holding a piece of radiance itself. Yet, that precious moment proved costly. Hippomenes, with a glance over his shoulder, had already increased the distance between them. Regaining her composure, Atalanta surged onward, her presence on the track steadying once more. This was no ordinary race, she realized, as the cheers of the crowd enveloped her. With her feet barely touching the earth as she sprinted, she closed in on Hippomenes once again, her thoughts a mix of determination and curiosity about the dazzling objects that distracted her so. Just as she prepared to overtake him, Hippomenes released the second golden apple. This apple, no less mesmerizing than the first, descended gracefully, captivating Atalanta once more. The split-second hesitation returned, her eyes drawn irresistibly to the object, and her mind wavered between triumph and enticement. As she reached down to seize the second apple, time slipped away alongside precious opportunity. The crowd witnessed this remarkable event with gasps, each person sensing the stakes that these moments carried. Despite the allure of the second apple, Atalanta's spirit was unbroken. She pressed on, each stride fueled by her quest to overcome. As she approached Hippomenes for the final time, her resolve was mirrored by his own strategy. He threw the third and final apple, its grandeur surpassing even its predecessors. This apple was a marvel of divine craftsmanship, more dazzling and splendid than Atalanta could have imagined. Faced with such a wondrous sight, Atalanta's steadfast heart faltered once more. She held the apple briefly, its gleaming form resting securely in her palm. In that suspended breath of time, Hippomenes crossed the finish line, his plan executed to perfection. The race ended with the audience in stunned silence, their astonishment echoing around the racecourse like a whispered wind. As the realization settled in, the spectators erupted into exclamations mingled with awe. Atalanta stood holding the golden apple, her gaze fixed on Hippomenes at the finish, reflection and revelation dawning upon her. What had been a mere race was transformed into something more by cunning and divine intervention. In securing his victory, Hippomenes had introduced an unforeseen shift in Atalanta's life. This unexpected outcome marked not an end, but a new beginning, one where choices yet unconsidered now lay before her. The race's conclusion was not a loss, but a pivot upon which her fate would revolve, a testament to the fluidity of destiny shaped by both mortal wit and heavenly whim. Bearing the apple as a token of both defeat and insight, Atalanta contemplated the unfolding path, its contours yet to be revealed in the days to follow. This moment of revelation hinted at the changes awaiting, as the winds of fate carried Atalanta and Hippomenes forward into the next chapter of their intertwined story. In the wake of the challenging race, Atalanta finds herself standing before a new reality. The swift huntress, once the epitome of independence, must now grapple with the consequences of her vow. Hippomenes, clever and determined, stands as the victor, a suitor who achieved what others could not. The result is a life jointly embarked upon, one she had not anticipated but must now embrace. Hippomenes, elated with his victory, soon discovers mixed emotions in his new bride. Though triumphant, he respects Atalanta's inner conflict. Her identity, so interwoven with freedom and the open wilderness, resists easy settlement. Yet, Hippomenes approaches their union with understanding and patience, aware of the delicate balance they must maintain. Their wedding is nothing short of a spectacle, full of pageantry and awe. The tales of their race spread far and wide, drawing attention from every corner. As they stand side by side, vows exchanged, Atalanta observes Hippomenes not merely as a cunning strategist, but as a man worthy of respect. His plan, orchestrated with the touch of the divine, speaks to his resourcefulness, an admirable trait indeed, even to one as proud as she. The partnership is seen by all as blessed, not solely for its dramatic beginning, but for the blending of fates it represents. A union born of intelligence and effort, drawing the gaze of the gods themselves. Onlookers marvel at the strategic alliance, recognizing it as a meaningful convergence rather than mere conquest. It is a coming together, enriched by mutual capabilities. However, as life together unfurls, challenges inevitably arise. Atalanta, used to the solitude of the hunt and the silent company of the forests, now must navigate a shared existence. The harmony she seeks within herself finds new parameters as she balances personal independence with marital unity. Hippomenes, in turn, learns to respect the fierce autonomy Atalanta guards. This balance becomes their greatest pursuit, one requiring wisdom and compromise from both partners. As their days pass, Aphrodite, the amused instigator of their union, watches from afar. Her influence, though initially seeming intrusive, becomes a subtle undercurrent to their lives together. Aphrodite's earlier role reinforces the idea of fate twined with choice, a gentle reminder that even human emotion may fall under the shadow of divinity. The goddess's presence, now serene and light, occasionally draws their eyes skyward, pondering the divine hand in their journey. Standing on a sunlit hill, the couple represents a harmonious duality. The peaceful landscape around them reflects the burgeoning form of their life together, a partnership colored by both shared and individual pursuits. As they gaze across the expansive sky, a distant temple stands as a silent witness to their union, both a reminder of the hands at play and the path yet ahead. Atalanta comes to understand and value the companionship and strategic insight Hippomenes offers. In learning to work in tandem, they are like two rivers converging, their strength combined in a greater purpose. Despite the transformation in her life, an echo of her swift feet and hunting prowess remains, not lost, but integrated into a new form of independence, one understood and supported by Hippomenes. Their story, no longer solely that of a race or a huntress's vow, turns to one of shared endeavors and joint achievements. As they move forward, the lessons of their past guide them, patience, understanding, and the mutual respect of equally strong wills. Together, they forge a path that respects both individuality and unity, reflecting the very core of their story. With a serene acceptance, Atalanta reflects on her path. Her once unyielding autonomy now finds room for companionship, an alliance abundantly appointed, both by fate and fellow feeling. As the sun dips gently toward the horizon, casting a warm glow upon the world, the couple stands as a testament to the evolving narrative of life and love, ready to face whatever divine attention their journey may next attract. In the tranquil days following their union, Atalanta and Hippomenes found themselves basking in the warmth of love and harmony. Yet, the couple slowly grew complacent, forgetting the intricate threads of fate woven by the gods in their union. Caught in the bliss of each other's company, they inadvertently neglected the pivotal role Aphrodite had played in their marriage. The goddess of love, unseen yet tangibly present, watched over their journey, aware of the subtle neglect sprouting in their hearts. As festivals celebrating the season unfolded, townsmen gathered to partake in merry rituals and pay homage to the pantheon of gods watching over them. Among these celebrations, a particular festival in honor of Zeus drew a considerable crowd, beckoning Atalanta and Hippomenes to join the reverent festivities. It was a night veiled in divine wonder, where the world seemed to pulse with an ethereal energy. Aphrodite, ever the subtle architect, subtly entwined her influence, gently guiding the couple through the throng of worshippers toward a sacred temple dedicated to Zeus. Spellbound by the ambience of reverence and enthusiasm, Atalanta and Hippomenes found themselves stealing away to the ancient temple's confines. The air around them was charged with a heady mix of reverence and exaltation. Carved from stone and shadow, the temple stood as a testament to Zeus's unyielding power and majesty. Inside its sacred hushed halls, the couple, enveloped by the fervor of emotion and triumph, consummated their marriage, a moment of passion and rebellion entwined amidst sacred boundaries. Zeus, ever watchful and mighty, observed this transgression from the heights of Olympus. Anger flickered in divine eyes, for the couple's act was not only an affront to the sanctity of his temple, but also a blasphemous misstep of mortals, treading where only the gods might venture. His wrath, fierce yet measured, began to stir like a storm gathering on the horizon, foretelling the consequences of their disregard. As whispers of divine retribution rustled through the celestial ranks, Atalanta felt the looming weight of a god's displeasure. The air around her seemed laden with an unseen force, as though warning her of the storm brewing in the heavens. Her heart, always tuned to the ancient echoes of the gods, sensed the dire penalty that skulked amidst their earthly joys. Hippomenes too began to discern the subtle shift in the air, a herald of what was to come. Amidst this divine intrigue, Aphrodite watched with a heart split between mischief and remorse. Her influencing was primarily intended to weave love's tapestry, yet led to unforeseen discord among the Olympians. Though her heart lay heavy with the playful shadows she had cast, the goddess could only silently witness as events unfolded. Zeus's judgment loomed heavily, a testament to the inexorable rules governing the divine. In an instant rendered by divine caprice, the mighty transformation began, seizing Atalanta and Hippomenes from the mortal world they knew. Their forms changed, skin and sinew morphing into the majestic frames of lions. This metamorphosis, a blend of punishment and eternal duty, was declared by Zeus himself. Thus Atalanta and Hippomenes were bound to the chariot of Cybele, the earth goddess, ensuring their ceaseless race across the landscapes of time. As the storm clouds dispersed, the enormity of their transgression descended, leaving Atalanta and Hippomenes standing not as erstwhile humans but as noble creatures of power and grace. Though their human forms were gone, their indomitable spirits lingered within, eternal witnesses to their own legend. This transformation, born of divine wrath, now paved the way for a new chapter in their interminable mythic journey. In the quiet aftermath of their impetuous act within Zeus's sacred temple, Atalanta and Hippomenes stand on the precipice of an irrevocable transformation. The air is charged, tense with the fury of the gods, as Zeus's presence looms like a storm on the horizon. The king of the gods, angered by their disrespectful actions, prepares to enact a punishment befitting their transgression. Their love, once a triumph of cleverness and agility, now faces the harsh judgment of divine retribution. Without thunderous fanfare or threats, Zeus's will manifest swiftly and inexorably. In a moment that suspends time, Atalanta and Hippomenes feel the power of metamorphosis ripple through their beings. Their human forms, suffused with vitality and grace, begin to shift and reshape under the watchful gaze of eternal laws. It is a transformation that defies natural order, rendering them forever into the forms of majestic lions. No longer faces of humanity, they become symbols of endurance, power, and primal elegance. As lions, they are commanded by Zeus to pull the chariot of Cybele, the revered earth goddess. Cybele, with her serene and nurturing presence, represents the enduring force of nature. The task set before Atalanta and Hippomenes is at once a punishment and a new path. They are to serve and to travel, to bridge the mortal and divine in a perpetual journey that echoes their unyielding spirits. Each sunrise marks another day in their service, and each step becomes a timeless echo of their previous life. Aphrodite, whose subtle machinations once intertwined their fates, observes their transformation from afar. Her gaze is one of lament, a silent acknowledgement of the role she played in sealing their destiny. Although her intention was to assist Hippomenes, the goddess now witnesses the unintended consequences of divine interference. Her wistful reflection underscores a lesson woven into the fabric of myth, that the dance with the divine, while alluring, is fraught with consequences beyond mortal comprehension. In her new form, Atalanta, the swift huntress of legend, retains the spirit and speed that defined her humanity. Her agility becomes a defining feature of her leonine identity, allowing her to navigate this eternal role with the same determination that once won hunts and races. Hippomenes, having relied on his wits and Aphrodite's assistance in winning Atalanta's hand, now learns the depths of living as an eternal companion. The wisdom growing in him over endless days echoes the ingenuity that initially caught Atalanta's interest. The task of drawing Cybele's chariot is symbolic. It signifies not only their ceaseless drive, but also the enduring companionship that has become the core of their legend. The pair moves in harmonious tandem, each step a testament to their courageous acceptance of fate. Together, they embody a balance of masculine courage and feminine agility, a partnership that transcends their human time and lends itself to new meanings. With every passing day, their story evolves into a legend, a narrative, cautioning against the pitfalls of divine forgetfulness. Atalanta and Hippomenes become more than a tale of love. They become reminders of humility before the gods, symbols of what it means to challenge divine will and to live in the consequence of such actions. They are embraced within the mythos of Greece, noted not just for their initial valor and cleverness, but for their ultimate acceptance and transformation. Their tale, one of transformation and eternal service, is whispered through cities and countryside alike, reaching sages and common folk. In this story, mortals perceive lessons of respect for divine power and the complexities of love and desire. Atalanta and Hippomenes, as lions, find a form of peace and understanding in their new identities, knowing that their essence continues to roam through myth and time. As the chapter closes, we leave the image of two regal lions silhouetted against the golden hues of sunrise, pulling the chariot of the earth goddess through a sunlit meadow. Their narrative, informed by the immortal truths of Greek mythology, illustrated the themes of consequence and transformation in the quiet dignity of their majestic forms. The lions move on, timeless in their fate, as witnesses to stories yet etched in the stars. As the golden hues of autumn bathe the vast plains under a cerulean sky, Atalanta and Hippomenes, now majestic lions, roamed with a graceful purpose. Bound together as eternal companions in duty, they pulled the chariot of Cybele, the earth goddess, across the never-ending expanse. This chariot, a symbol of their new role in the mythological tapestry, carried them through lands ever-changing, yet their task never faltering. The world around them evolved. Kingdoms rose and fell, yet their journey remained constant, a testament to the enduring nature of myth. Atalanta, in her newfound form, often pondered the winding paths that led to this eternal journey. From an early age, she had sought freedom, defying expectations and societal constraints. Her life, marked by a fervent independence, now found a semblance of meaning amidst the unending plains. As a lioness, she retained her swift spirit, the very essence of the huntresses etched into her being. This new role was not a prison but a continuation of her quest for acceptance, a truth she quietly embraced as she and Hippomenes roamed the limitless steppes. Hippomenes, too, mused over the cleverness that had characterized their love story. Initially awestruck by Atalanta's prowess, he had drawn upon divine assistance to win her hand, employing wit over speed to triumph in their fateful race. Now, in their transformed state, he found consolation in the clever partnership they maintained, even as lions. Pulling Cybilla's chariot was not just an early consequence, but a shared journey, a united testament to their combined strength. Despite their transformation, their bond was more robust than ever, standing as a symbol of loyalty and enduring love. As immortal lions, they became emblematic figures, ingrained in the collective imagination of ancient Greece. Their story, passed from one generation to the next, inspired tales of loyalty and persistence despite trials and transformations. Heroes and adventurers sought the plains where the lions roamed, desiring to glimpse the legendary pair and draw courage from their unyielding spirit. These visitors, captivated by the lion's majesty, found inspiration in their unchanging determination, often recounting tales of their own quests interwoven with the tales of Atalanta and Hippomenes' steadfast journey. The earth goddess Cybele held great pride in the pair, observing how they carried her chariot through the seasons with strength and unity. Her approval was more than a simple acknowledgement. It was a benediction that reinforced their significant roles in the realm of myth. In this position, they were not merely beasts of burden, but celebrated figures that exemplified endurance and faithfulness. This eternal task of theirs was not punishment, but a new kind of freedom, one where they embodied the very ideals they had lived and raced for in their previous lives. Atalanta discovered an early peace in her role, finding acceptance not just from those who watched, but from within herself. Her life's journey, once a relentless pursuit of freedom on her own terms, had come full circle, placing her in a grand narrative she could embrace. This acceptance allowed Atalanta to see her place in myth not as a descent into captivity, but as an insurance of her legacy. Her story, now a beacon of independence and strength, spread across Greece, inspiring women and men alike to seek their own paths under the watchful eyes of the gods. The endless sky continued to reach across the plains, an early canvas against which the lions moved, symbols of resilience and grace. As Atalanta and Hippomenes carried on, their story echoed all around, soundless yet potent, filling the air with whispers of love, loyalty, and timeless endurance. Through their ceaseless journey, their legacy was assured, becoming an early, gentle reminder of what it meant to live freely and love fearlessly, even in the face of divine destiny. They became part of the sky and earth, storytellers looking upon an early world forever changed by their courage and resolve. As the myth of Atalanta and Hippomenes grew, so too did the lessons they imparted to those who remembered them. They remained undaunted by the passage of time, as their tale continued to shape minds and inspire hearts across Greece. In this eternal embrace of duty and love, their journey was perpetual, one that gently spurred its audience to reflection and reverence. As icons of strength and unity, they ushered in stories of freedom and adventure, nurturing the imaginations of future story weavers under the endless firmament. Their journey did not end here. It persisted unfalteringly amidst a world forever captivated by their story. And so, they continued to navigate their early path, the symbols of what it means to find one's place in the ever-turning wheel of myth and history. The story of Atalanta and Hippomenes, enduring as majestic lions, pulling the chariot of the earth goddess Cybele, became a tale told for generations. Their legend was whispered among the reeds and echoed across the rolling plains where they journeyed eternally. With each retelling, Atalanta's adventures gained new layers, embellishments that only fanned the flames of her storied life. Ancient bards and storytellers gathered around crackling fires, narrating Atalanta's swift feet and her determined spirit. Children listened with wide eyes, clutching blankets against the cool night air, enraptured by the tales of the huntress who defied expectations and carved her path with unparalleled speed. Independence. Atalanta's life became a beacon of inspiration, a tale imparting lessons on courage and self-reliance. Wise elders recounted how she outran ferocious boars and foolish suitors alike, a testament to her strength and resolve. Her adventures seemed to transcend time, merging into the tapestry of myths that formed the backbone of their culture. Likewise, Hippomenes' tales were shared alongside hers, his cleverness in winning Atalanta's hand through the use of 3 enchanted golden apples becoming legendary. This cleverness was celebrated in tales illustrating the wit required to balance valor with wisdom, a partnership as potent and harmonized as their eventual union. Their iconic race, which determined the course of their lives, became allegorical of humanity's hubris before the gods. It was retold as a reminder that even the swiftest or cleverest should never be complacent in the face of divine powers, with Aphrodite's hand playing a crucial part in their fate. The race was cautionary, as well as inspiring, a reminder to be humble and acknowledge the divine influence in one's personal success. This message became a staple, repeated by storytellers as part of a wider lesson on pride and humility. Aphrodite's own role in their destinies did not escape scrutiny. Her influence on the outcome of the race provided rich material for storytellers, debated and reimagined countless times over generations. Was she a bystander with mischievous intent or a guiding force with deeper motives? This ambiguity fueled discussions about the goddess's intentions, adding complexity to the narratives that filled the halls of ancient temples and homes. In the echoes of these stories, heroes found parallels between their adventures and the journey of Atalanta and Hippomenes. Warriors preparing for battle would draw inspiration from Atalanta's courage, reminding themselves that speed and cunning could overcome brute strength. Scholars and poets found in Hippomenes a figure of resourcefulness and foresight, crafting verses that honored his insight and determination. Together they represented balance, the hard-won unity between one's desires and the will of the gods. Ultimately, Atalanta and Hippomenes were enshrined in temples as icons of balance and unity. Statues depicted them in the midst of their eternal chase, immortalized in vibrant hues of faded reds and warm ochres on temple murals. Beneath these grand visual displays, offerings were made in hopes of gaining favor or guidance in matters of love and adventure. Their influence reached far and wide, echoing through time as symbols of harmony amid the tumult of fate and fortune. In honoring these icons, the people saw themselves reflected in the myths, their struggles and triumphs given divine context and meaning. The stories of Atalanta and Hippomenes served as reminders of the greater forces at play in the world, urging humility and acceptance of their roles within it. Amid the flickering shadows of temple columns, their tale grew into a powerful teaching, a gentle nudge toward understanding the cycles of life and the path each soul must tread. The temple chamber, bathed in sunlight through grand windows, reverberated with the reverent tones of age-old songs praising their legacy. As each new generation added its own voice to the chorus of adulation, their tale achieved a kind of immortality. It was a story with no end, woven into the very fabric of myth and continuing to inspire those who yearned for freedom and partnership. And so, the legend of Atalanta and Hippomenes continued to thrive, told in hushed tones at twilight, a timeless chronicle of defiance, love, and grace. As their story wove through the tapestry of human experience, Atalanta and Hippomenes found their essence immortalized in the myths of old. Heroes and deities alike found meaning in their tale, a story becoming more than its parts, a guiding star for those seeking harmony in life's complexities. As the sun dipped towards the horizon, casting a serene tapestry of soft purples and calm amber across the sky, the legacy of Atalanta unfolded gently. Her life, an intricate tale of strength and independence, had woven through the very fabric of Greek mythology, inspiring countless generations. Atalanta's journey began as an abandoned child left on a mountainside and culminated in her celebrated transformation, a testament to her unyielding spirit. Her legend served as an inspirational beacon, especially for women who sought their own paths in a world that often revered the strength and cunning of men. Atalanta's fulfillment lay in having found acceptance not in the arms of a societal mold, but on her own terms. Her story, undulating like the gentle hills now bathed in twilight, spoke of freedom pursued with a tenacity unmatched by many. She transcended traditional roles assigned to her, proving that one's worth need not be tethered to expectations. She had etched her name not just in history, but in the hearts of those who sought inspiration from her relentless quest for autonomy. The journey from a forsaken infant to a celebrated myth was captured fully, each step a reminder of perseverance. Where others saw a world confined by rules, Atalanta saw possibilities, a place where she could carve out her own destiny, one swift footstep at a time. The stories of her unparalleled speed and her defiance against patriarchal norms were told around fires and taught as lessons, each word reinforcing her mythic status. Atalanta stood as a beacon for women seeking their own path, a symbol that resonated with those yearning for independence. Her legend encompassed not only the adventures she embarked upon, but also the essence of her spirit, undaunted, unyielding, and eternally connected to the wilderness she adored. She was not merely a tale of swiftness, she was an emblem of freedom that transcended her era. The peaceful lesson embedded in her myths spoke of finding harmony within one's nature and spirit. Much like the tranquil balance of colors painting the sky, Atalanta's life was a tapestry of daring pursuits and gentle resolutions, each harmonizing with the other. Her story offered a serene reminder of the power found in staying true to oneself, despite the pressures to conform. Interwoven into the myths of Greek tradition perpetually, Atalanta's legacy thrived. She became a symbol of balance, her tale echoing through temples and whispered among the reeds that lined the ancient plains. Her myth did not fade with the passage of time but grew, adapting to the ears of new listeners who sought her strength and wisdom. The respect she garnered was a living testament to her impact, a reminder that legends live on through those who cherish them. As the sun set over the tranquil hill, the legend of Atalanta thrived, ever swift and free. Her spirit endured in the stories told by old and young alike, celebrated not only for her speed but for the freedom she claimed against all odds. Her myth continued a cycle of strength, courage, and steadfast independence that would inspire and encourage those who wandered through the annals of Greek lore. In the twilight where her legend breathed life, Atalanta found a peace that resonated through eternity. Her story, an unbroken thread of resilience and inspiration, wove through the tapestry of history, a legacy unending. With a gentle nod to the horizon, her influence stretched far and wide, ever present, ever enduring.